two, one. We are live for a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Winchild. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. It was a pretty slow news week, so we don't have that many news items to get through, but we still have a few interesting things we want to discuss with you guys. But then that's gonna leave us probably more time to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section right now, and we're gonna get to them. It can be anything about the subject we're discussing today, or it can be other subject in the EV space that you want us to address. All right, let's jump in. The Cybertruck. So we've been trying to track the progress toward production for a long time now because, I mean, it's probably the most anticipated vehicle program in the world right now. We are estimating like something over 1 million people have reserved the truck. Just $100 deposit, though, so it's not like not that big of a commitment or anything. But still, like, people are looking forward to that truck. And even though the Cybertruck is a bit late in the electric pickup truck space, with the Lightning already come, the Rivian has been saying for a while now. Is Silverado coming soon? We're going to talk a little bit about that later. But there's still plenty of space in that particular sector of the EV or passenger vehicle market. And Tesla still has the opportunity to make a big splash just because of how big they are at quickly ramping up production. So that's why there's a lot of eyes right now on the Cybertruck vehicle program and getting into production. And the little tidbit of news today that happened is like two new prototypes, so at least bodies of Cybertruck were spotted at the Gigafactory Texas. I was spotted by Mr. Joe Tegmeyer, and he's one of those drone pilots that keeps flying over the factory. And according to Joe, these weren't built at the factory, though. Tesla took delivery of them, so they were built somewhere else and shipped to Tesla factory, probably for some validation of the production process. Um, but we do know that also Hydra, who produces the big giga presses that Tesla use for the rear casting of the Model Y and the front casting of the Model Y too now. They are building this new world's biggest casting machine. Uh, I think Tesla already had the biggest one at a 6,000 pound one. Now they're getting a 9,000 pound one, and it is to produce the Cybertruck's body. And we just learned this week that Hydro Us finished producing the new Giga Press. I mean, producing these things like a single one, it's like it's something of an achievement. Like it's um it's not like taking delivery of your average production equipment. This is the delivery of that is going to be a big step towards Tesla bringing the Cybertruck to production. And now the timing that we see those bodies being delivered to Tesla, the Hydra new Giga Press for Cybertruck production being accomplished, there's things brewing on the Cybertruck front. But the actual timeline to production is still a little bit vague because we heard two things from Elon most recently. Elon has mentioned twice mid 2023 for production of the Cybertruck, but once he said start of production in mid 2023, and the other time he said volume production in 2022, which are two widely different things. Obviously, if the latter is true, production should start like right now. Evidence on those two builds right there, Cybertruck bodies. But things are well, at least moving on that direction. Do you think they produce any Cybertrucks by the end of next year?
Seems like far fetched, and here's why.
Really?
Like, well, so I think they'll have limited numbers, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be producing customer vehicles by then. And so we just saw this week a Chevy Silverado being tested. Those are coming out next year. Like the mules of a truck that on the street, like production came off a line. Um, that takes like a lot of testing. I mean, the Rivians were out for like 2 or 3 years before they even started producing them. Like they were driving up from South America. So yes, I think they'll probably get a few off the line. They're certainly going to get some like beta Cybertrucks off the line, but it just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to mass produce them at that point.
Yeah, and it's also like a two prong issue. Like there's this Cybertruck itself as technology that are new to mass production, including
Right.
the exoskeleton. But there's also the 4680. As far as we know, the Cybertruck program is dependent on the 4680 battery cell. And as far as we can tell, Tesla still has issues producing those in decent volume. Apparently, the goal is still to achieve that by the end of the year, but they've been late already, and I would anticipate some more delays on that front at this point.
Yeah, and it just seems like Elon's a little busy right now with Twitter.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, and frankly, who cares? Like they're making enough Model 3s and Model Ys, and they're growing. The company's growing in size. Uh,
Yeah,
so
but they need a new vehicle soon to keep that pace of growth, like a 50% production delivery per year. It's there's still room to grow from, especially from Model Y, but I think they need a new car next year for sure.
yeah, well, I'm currently testing a Ford F-150, which is the same relative like footprint and size, and it's just way too big of a vehicle. So
Yeah.
I'm not bullish on Cybertruck. Although I know the US, it's like the number one selling vehicle in the
Hmm.
US by far for like decades. But it's just for me, like I'm kind of over the Cybertruck. I would like to see Roadster. I would like to see some upgrades to the model. I would like to see another line. Cybertruck just seems like toyish. Not that the Roadster isn't a mass market vehicle by any stretch, but
Yeah,
oh,
out there we're gonna fit the description better than the Cybertruck.
right, right.
No, I mean, yeah, I think that the Cybertruck is still gonna be successful, even though it's big. Like you said, there's plenty of hunger for a bigger vehicle, especially in North America. All right, this is interesting here. The Tesla has a new energy app that they are launching first with the Model S and X, but we assume that it's going to make its way to the Model 3 and Model Y. So Tesla early was kind of a leader on that front, like in terms of like giving you information about how your vehicle energy, but they haven't updated that app as far as I like long time, like for years probably. And now you have a few competitors that are like they know that a lot of electric vehicle buyers and electric vehicle fans they like to dig deep into exactly like where their energy is going and try to optimize and so forth. So this new update to the app here gives you a lot more information and even gives you tips to improve your energy consumption here. So you get now you can track exactly the projected energy consumption throughout a trip if you have a trip set, and then you see the live current energy consumption to it, so you can see how you track. So like for this example, in this example, the person is consuming a little bit more energy than it was projected, and then you can even Tesla tells you exactly where that energy is going. So well, they don't put the propulsion, but obviously, oh, they don't. They put it here. Well, okay, they put it on this example, not the other one. So yeah, the driving, so the propulsion of the vehicle, that's obviously most of it. So on this 12.3 miles trip, 9.8 already has been used for the driving propulsion, then 0.8 for climate, 1.5 for the that's not necessarily that's in the driving too, but part of the elevation contributed more, so 1.5 miles um,
If you're
on the
going
trip.
downhill, will it be negative?
I would assume so. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. All right, you see the next to it, you have so it's the consumption versus trip projection. Okay, so that's actually what was consumed, and so the elevation was more than what the so we know that Tesla has been putting a lot more of these factors in now into the action. I think elevation has been in there for a while. To be fair, though, I don't think that's completely new. But so it looks in this case. So that's not the fault of the driver here. That would be the fault of Tesla's own projection. If so, zero point 0.7 miles more that it consumed for elevation rather than what was projected. But the projection on the elevation, that would be on Tesla's fault, right? Um, So you also get a range tip. Staying below 70 miles per hour will save you 1.1 mile on this trip. So that's obviously speed is a big factor. If you drive slower, you're gonna achieve a higher efficiency. Then setting the cabin temperature to 72 Fahrenheit will have saved you 0.2 miles. So the in this example, people were going a little bit more comfort versus efficiency, which is completely fair. Um, but they go even further than that. So we in this second example here on the 20.3 miles consumed trip, you even have screen time. So the use of the screen consumed 2.3 miles of range. Uh, I don't know exactly how is that taken into account, like your screen time, because the screen is always on. So
Yeah,
when you play with it, it consumes more than if it's just on.
maybe if you're doing karaoke or something. I don't know. That's a weird thing to have. Or
Yeah,
maybe if you put it in dark mode, it's better. I don't know.
yeah.
And that's
Well,
also a lot, like 2.3 miles in screen time. That would seem to be a lot of. I wonder if that's like like the CPU or GPU as well.
oh, wait a second. So this is an example of park when you're parked,
Oh, got it.
because you see 20.3 miles consumed, and 13.5 of that was Sentry mode. So this is an example of someone who's parked and has Sentry mode on. Is the beeping from me here?
That's me.
Let's see. Okay, sorry, I was getting confused. Um, so yeah, well set to check this out. So this is an example of someone who's Spark have Sentry mode on, and also the screen time is probably like when you have Sentry mode on, you can see on the screen, you can see the image of I don't know, is it Portal, or it's one of those video games that they have an image of on the screen. So that consumes some energy than preconditioning. So the person had preconditioning on. So you would assume that would consume more than the actual screen, though. Like 3.5 miles of preconditioning versus, well, it did consume more, but not that much more. And you can even have like summon standby that affects it, though in this case it didn't. Vehicle standby, so that's I assume is just a regular vampire drain. But anyway, there's a lot of information to dig into. So once we get that update, it's probably going to be something interesting at first to look at your trip, because I mean the parking one is one thing, but obviously I think the trip projection is going to be the
Yeah,
most interesting one.
I love this stuff. I like in my other EVs. I really wish there was more information that you can get out, and the fact that they're presenting all this stuff. You don't have to consume it. You don't have to go onto this window and look at it. But for me, like, I mean, the energy thing is already a little bit like that. It's just you don't have the breakdown by consumption
Yeah.
and the range tips. I mean, like, all right, if I turn off the climate or turn down the climate, I'm going to start, I'm going to get a little bit more range. Or how much am I actually, how much is air conditioning affecting my drive, that kind of stuff. So this is super cool to me. One of the things about the Model 3 and the Model Y interface was that they took out a lot of like, how many watts are you using, to accelerate and
Mhm.
stuff. So anything they're putting back, I'm loving it. So, and this is something I like.
Yeah, this is something to always put a little asterisk on, though, because a lot of people are not familiar with the vehicles. They're like, do I have to worry about all of that? Like, just to like, if I.
Hey, Fred, I think you're muted. I'm sorry, guys. We have a technical difficulty here. Not getting any sound from Fred. He's muted now. Oh. All right, he's gonna pop out and pop on again. So talking about the range estimate, the current Model 3, Model Y software has something like that, but I think that adding more things to the bottom is going to be a boon for people like me who are super into the. Are you there, Fred?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can hear me now.
Yep.
I think it's StreamYard's having some issue with StreamYard today. All right, so we're all done with these energy app. So if you're a Tesla shareholder this week, not a great week. I think I didn't check today by the market close, but when it was 6% by 3 p.m. or something like that. So this stock has had a rough go, and a lot of it is a lot of analysts that they've been chiming in for the over the last few weeks, trying to both digest the Q3 result well, not the result, but at least the production and delivery result that was released a few last week, and there is this demand thing happening again, and even Morgan Stanley, like Adam Jonas from Morgan Stanley, was generally pretty optimistic about Tesla. Even mentioned that there might be a beginning of demand destruction being shown at the margin, and so that triggered a lot of people. And this whole discussion about Tesla's demand is back at the forefront of the at least the stock market discussion at the very least. And yeah, even Troy Tesla, who's been tracking the backlog, has reported that the backlog of order from Tesla is at a 2-year low, basically at 317,000 units. That's mostly based on the timeline, the delivery timeline that Tesla reports itself. So, does Tesla have a demand problem right now? My main thing with Tesla, this suggestion that Tesla would have a demand problem, is that. Why is not Tesla putting any demand trigger if they do have a demand problem right now? The biggest one, obviously, being pricing. Tesla has increased pricing a lot over the last 2 years. They are at a record high for good reason, in part because obviously there's been a lot of inflation and supply chain issues. But if you look at Tesla's gross margin, they're also at a record high. So there's definitely room to decrease prices if Tesla was seeing a demand problem where they could take a bit of a hit on the gross margin sides of things in order to boost demand, which they haven't done, which leads me to believe that there's not a significant demand issue. There might be some issues in terms, especially in the U.S. right now with the tax credit coming. There might the tax. I don't know. It's hard to determine how big of an impact the tax credit is going to have on Tesla because of all the restriction. And I'm not just talking about the battery critical mineral restriction and everything. And in the case of Tesla, because of the Model 3 starting at $47,000 and Model Y now almost $60,000, these are expensive vehicles, and there's the restriction of $150,000 income for a single filer, 300,000 for dual filers. So these are vehicles that, I mean, if you make $150,000 a year, you're stretching it basically to buy that car. Maybe not a new Model 3, but any like a $50,000 car. If you make $150,000 a year, actually it's less than $150,000 a year because that's the cutoff limit. It can be financial strain on someone. So yes, that I don't know how, but there's definitely some people that it's going to affect them. And if you do get, and with the $7,500, then maybe like, oh, you think I could afford it with that. So it's going to be an impact. It's just hard to determine how big of an impact. So some people right now are definitely waiting to place an order on a Tesla vehicle to make sure that they do get delivery in Q1 2023 when they can have access to it. Obviously, these are the other also criteria that are going to affect it. We don't think that the base Model 3 can get it because of the batteries likely coming from China. So there's going to be a few issues on that front too. So there might be some people that are waiting for no reason to right now. So that might be affecting the demand. But going into 2023, especially if they get it on all Model Y variants, thanks to the $80,000 limit on an SUV, the Model Y being considered an SUV, $7,500, that's going to make a decent difference. And if the battery requirements are okay, which we think they probably are, since the batteries are coming from Gigafactory Nevada, I think Tesla is not going to have any problem going into 2023 for the demand. But right now, that might be like a weird little situation at this moment in Q4.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that other car companies and cars are eating into Tesla's demand? So, people buying Kia EV6s, or, um, there's a new Mercedes EQB on the market that kind of competes well with the Model Y. Um, is it possible that, that we're starting to get to we're starting to get as many electric vehicles as there is demand?
That's not what I'm seeing. Like, especially if you're talking about EV6 and Ionic 5. Uh, the only reason there is any inventory right now is some greediness on the dealership front, really,
Right.
because otherwise everything would be sold out. So I think there's like a few factors coming in right now with some higher prices and the fact that the economy right now is also in not very stable footing. That some people are like, all right, I might push the purchase of a new vehicle, but still, the market is so crazy. Like my friend just took delivery this week of a VW ID4, and he could sell it right now for like $15,000 more than he bought it. Like there's a dealership not too far from the dealership that he bought it that has one. I think it's an Audi dealership that has some used VW4 ID4. So it's the market is still crazy on the demand on EVs. Like I don't think we have any demand matching production just yet. But at the
On
same
a
time, yeah, go ahead.
on an unrelated note, I'm really I just got my mom a Bolt EV, and
Hmm.
I'm really kind of tempted. My neighbor just got a Bolt EUV with Super Cruise. I'm really tempted to trade in my Model 3 for a Bolt EV because I can get so much for the Model 3. I'll probably profit like, I don't know, maybe $10,000 by selling my Model 3 for, like $35,000 and getting a Bolt for $25,000. Or maybe I get, a nice decked out Bolt EUV with a sunroof and stereo upgrade and Super Cruise. So what do you think about that? Like, if I can break even on a brand new Bolt EUV with Super Cruise and, everything for 2018 base model long range Model 3, what do you think about that?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean,
Like,
there's the warranty aspect of it though.
right.
That's nice. That's definitely something like a lot of people like they trade in their cars when the warranty is running out. So you would get a brand new warranty. That's nice. But personally, I think I would still prefer driving a Model 3 over a Bolt TV.
Yeah, I agree. The driving experience for sure, but like for me, it's kind of nice to have a hatchback. It's kind of nice to be able to like zip
Mm,
around in a small car versus the Model 3, which is not a big car, but it's a sedan, so it's a little
mm.
bit longer, a little bit wider. There's more room in the garage. There's all these like little things that, and for trips, we have the Model Y, so, and which has full self driving and all the other silly stuff. So it's not like we're gonna have problems on trips because we got the Bolt. We have the Model Y for trips, and I'm thinking maybe I should, uh, get a brand new Bolt uh, for and make money off the whole thing.
There's a bit.
I'm losing your audio again. There you are.
I am having issues again. Yeah, but the other things though, like you would trade it in with the GM dealership, with your local GM dealership, your Model 3.
No, I'd probably sell it.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you want a best price, you probably have to sell yourself, and then
Right.
that's more
That's a
work too.
that's a pain in the butt. Yep.
Mm,
Well, maybe I'll see what GM will give me, but
yeah. Yeah, a lot of people commenting like supercharger and stuff like that. That definitely is the biggest disadvantage. But I was not gonna mention it because, of course, Seth also has his Model Y, and that's what you're gonna use in the long
yeah,
distance.
and we use that car for just around
Mm.
town, and it's just the same
Mhm.
garage charger.
All right, in New Mexico, Tesla has doubled down on its strategy to use tribal land to open service centers and stores. So we reported on that last year, and we thought it was a very interesting approach from Tesla. There's still a few states out there that doesn't allow Tesla to have direct sell model to operate its own stores and its own service centers. And service centers is a pretty wild one. Like they don't even allow Tesla to service their own car. It's insane. But in New Mexico is one of those states, but also is one of those states that has a lot of tribal land that's actually pretty close to big city centers. Well, I mean, there's not huge cities in New Mexico, but there's Santa Fe and there's Albuquerque. And so last year, Tesla made a deal with a local tribal group, native group, the Nambe Pueblo. I think that's how you First Nation of Nambe Pueblo. And that was they took over basically an old casino north of Santa Fe to build a location there to service the area. So it's a way to get around the fact that the laws in the state say that an automaker cannot operate um, its own service center or store on state land. Well, it's not state land; it's native land, so they're fine with that. And it was successful enough that they did it again today. This week they announced a deal with the Santa Ana Pueblo, they have land that's really close to Albuquerque. So that was the other big city center that Tesla needed to cover. And now they made a deal with them to open a location there. And I thought it was interesting because even like the cabinet secretary and like a bunch of politicians like applauded the Tesla's approach in the announcement, but like they are the legislation, so they are the ones that are preventing Tesla. They are the one that's forcing Tesla to have to go through the native tribes in order to establish a service in the area. It's pretty crazy. So now Tesla is basically covered in New Mexico, at least Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and there's Las Cruces too in the south of the state. But Tesla has a service center in El Paso that is pretty close to that. So I assume that's for now. That's gonna be it for Tesla in New Mexico.
Kind of sad that they have to do that still today, like 2022.
Well, it's good business for the native tribes.
Yeah,
at least
get some smokes and get some Teslas.
Yeah. Play a casino.
Gambling. Yeah.
All right. Moving on from Tesla news, Polestar 3 was officially debuted this week. So we have all the specs and the price, which was a little bit surprising. Actually, it's a little bit more expensive than anticipated. $84,000 is starting price.
Starting price. Crazy.
Yeah. And they price themselves out of the tax credit too. So I don't know what's happening there. Because it's an SUV, so $80,000 is the top price that you can have the access to the tax credit. And they announced that it's going to be built in the U.S. So, Polestar has been one of those foreign automaker that's pioneered the strategy of actually building their cars in China and exporting them. So they have success with that with the Polestar 2. But now the Polestar 3, they announced that they're going to build it in the U.S., but you would assume that it is to get access to the tax credit, but it is priced out, so the tax credit. I think they were talking about a $75,000 price, which would have been right on the margin of it, but apparently not. So in terms of the design, you can see it here. I think it's solid. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I mean, it looks awesome. The specs are awesome. Was it what? How big is the battery? It's huge, right?
111 kilowatt hour of battery.
So that seems like almost too big, to be honest with you. But
300 miles EPA. So I assume that it's not like the most efficient vehicle out there.
Right.
It's pretty boxy, pretty big.
Yeah, but I mean, that's probably why it costs so much. I feel like they probably should have come with a base model with a smaller battery, maybe like a 85, 90 kilowatt hour, and a price tag maybe like 70,000. But this is what they have.
Yeah, it's it's a big vehicle. 5,700 pounds. It's no, it is heavy. 3,500 pounds of towing capacity. That's not bad.
Drag coefficient 0.29. That's pretty not bad.
Yeah, for an SUV, it's not bad. 250 kilowatt charging, also very good. Um, Look at the interior here. It's if you're familiar with the inside of the Polestar 2, at least the driving situation and the center display and all that, it's extremely similar. There's no pictures of the back seat. I assume this can be a third row in this. No,
I would assume, yeah. I mean, for that
they
price,
mention it.
no pictures. Huh.
No pictures of the third row.
Yeah, it's kind of sporty. I guess it's not a done deal. I mean, it's called a Polestar 3. Third row? No, maybe not.
And if there was one, I feel like we would have led with that, but maybe not. No, no mention of a third row. That would be a bummer. That would be a bummer. All right, you mentioned it earlier a little bit, but you spotted a post of a rare Silverado EV prototype charging at Electrify America.
Yeah, so I actually got got a little bit more details on this, which is a little scary to me. But yeah, just a Reddit poster posted this, and I followed up with him, and he gave me some more photos. Um, it's kind of like the one we saw a few months ago that GM shared a video of. For some reason, GM doesn't have the trim on their prototypes. I guess that's a way to like camouflage them a little bit.
You mean like I know we saw the Hummer EV also had
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It just seems like a weird thing to do, like roll around with like
Mm.
car and like seems like pieces. Anyway, we seen the Hummer, so it's not like a one-off or something. But we saw a video earlier of the Silverado EV in testing, and it looked quite a bit like this, but there was some like silver bolts and stuff. So maybe not the same exact vehicle, but
Mm.
seemed pretty close. Um, so we talked to the guy, the redditor who had taken the pictures. He said that they tried they tried charging at one Electrify America, didn't start, or actually it was charging at 30 kilowatts, which is probably takes like 6 hours to
Mm.
charge a Silverado at that speed. And then they had to move over to another one, and then they got like over 100 kilowatts. So I'm actually driving a Ford F-150 to Detroit this weekend, and I'm using Electrify America stations. And the nice part is
Good luck.
that got plug and charge. The bad part is that everybody I've ever talked to says, "Be careful, Electrify America aren't reliable." And sometimes you get really great speed, sometimes you get abysmal speed. So I don't want to be sleeping at a Electrify America station while this thing is charging. So hopefully that
Yeah,
goes well.
you have to change it up too. Like sometimes when it's too slow, you have to like to switch it to the other one, like they did. Like that's very common.
Yeah, I mean,
But this thing is supposed to have 350 kilowatt charging too, right?
no, it's 350.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's lots.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Hummer, I think, in terms
Mm.
of like it's basically two. It's like a car Ultium battery times two.
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously the Bolt is an example of an Ultium, or sorry, not the Bolt, the Equinox. So it'd be like two Equinox batteries stacked on top of each other. So each one of those charging at 175, and you get 350, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. So I'm going to be charging the Ford, which I think tops out under 200 kilowatts. So I've checked the Electrify Americas. There's Taco Bell at the first one, so that'll be fun. And then the second one, I think there's a TGI Friday, so a little midnight snack. It'll be a late night charge, so hopefully there's no demand charge, leveling there.
Yeah. All right, last piece of news we're gonna discuss is Honda. So last week we kind of went a little bit hard on Honda about the Prologue. They unveiled the design of it, and we said that we like the car obviously, but it's the more of how aggressive or how not aggressive they are about their all electric vehicle effort, especially in North America, with the first one coming in 2024, again, the prologue. And then the second one coming in 2026. And the one in 2026 is the first one that's going to be built on their own platform because the prologue is built on the GM Ultium that we just discussed. So now this week, they announced a major investment into producing electric vehicles and batteries into the US. So a welcome announcement, but there's nothing that it doesn't enable anything new. Like it's not like it changes the timeline for anything of the vehicles or anything like that. It's still like this announcement sounds like it is to produce that vehicle that's coming in 2026. So the first one built from the ground up. But it is a significant $4.4 billion investment in Ohio. So Ohio is really becoming an EV hub with GM being there, Ford being there. I mean, Foxconn being there. There's a lot of companies being there. And now Honda is investing $700 million in its existing Ohio plant in order to gear them for electric vehicle production and a new $3.5 billion battery cell factory in partnership with LG Energy Solution. So they're taking basically the same approach as GM did with their partner, the Ultium partnership with LG. Now Honda is doing the same. So kind of makes sense since they're basically using also GM and technically GM and LG's technology for the Prologue. It's going to be something similar for their own EV coming in 2026, which we don't have any information about. But construction is expected to start early next year for the new battery factory. Expected to be completed by the end of 2024 for production in 2025 and ahead of the 2026 model with a capacity of 40 gigawatt hours. So a decent, very decent capacity. It is going to be a gigafactory at least. So that gives us an idea of the kind of volume that Honda wants to produce that new vehicle at in 2026. It's just so it is a significant commitment. It's just I don't know how it is late. I think 2026.
Yeah, 2026 is a long way off.
Yeah, it's 4 years away.
I know.
4 years away.
They should be doing stuff today.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't Honda have like a deal with Sony as well? Like I know they have a GM Ultium deal, but I thought they were going to build Sony's EVs as well. I wonder if those are going to.
Yeah, but apparently that's gonna be just a subscription EV or something like that. Like it's not even like they're not even gonna sell it. Like I don't know exactly what that's gonna look like just yet, but yeah.
All right. Well, I guess better late than never.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Like they are really like flirting with like just giving up on the North American market. I think at this point, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. All right,
Yeah.
do we have a few questions before we end the show this week?
Yeah. Can you see the stars on the interface?
The stars.
Yeah. I made like little blue stars on the questions I'm going to answer. Anyway.
Yeah, wait, yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, I thought that might be a good way to
Oh.
root out the good stuff. All right,
Mhm.
Dan Oberst, I would not want a customer vehicle this year. We're talking about the Cybertruck. They need to test vehicles for a long time before I want to take delivery. I agree. Like I always, for whatever reason, order and like the first Tesla's off the line, and I'm always regretting it. So yeah,
It's part of your job.
yeah, I know. All right, yeah. So the Semi is the new vehicle that Tesla's putting out this year, so we don't have to worry about them getting stale with the Model Y and the Model 3. Greg Poland, Cybertruck, they covered it in white. That's like putting a spotlight on it for drone flyers. They want them to be seen. Perhaps, probably not. I think
I
that's
think
just.
there's some breaking news set.
Uh
Trevor Milton has been found guilty
oh. Oh,
in his case.
that's sad.
Poor guy. We love Trevor. Guilty on 1 count of securities fraud and 2 counts of wire fraud. Ooh, he's in trouble. Not guilty on 1 count of securities fraud. So
Huh.
3. He beat 1 out of 4.
Yeah. Okay. 30. He's batting 333. I thought you were going to tell me the Yankees scored. All right. Back to Greg Poland. So Cybertruck is covered in white. I don't think that is to bring attention to it. I think it's just so it doesn't get scratched in transport.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. I'd be happy to take delivery of my Cybertruck well after the first one is delivered. Yep. I think being the first is not the best here. I'm also feeling the same way about the Rivian. We have a Rivian on
Yeah,
order, and I'm not in a hurry to get it, although I would like to get it.
but you know what, too? Like with Tesla, it used to be with at least the service like was so good in terms of like they took care of you at least. Like
Right.
either like the
Right.
mobile service would come
Fix your
and
door.
give you a loaner and things like that. But now what we're seeing with Tesla, like giving up on loaners, not only giving up on loaners, now like they don't even like give you um Uber. They used to give you Uber credits when they didn't have loaners, and they don't even do that, or they don't do that if it's for less than a day. I think if the repair takes less than a day, they're not going to give you Uber credits either way. So with the degradation of the service on that front, um, because I used to think at least, okay, you get your an early version. Worst case scenario, like your car's in service for a little bit as they fix their early issues. But now it's like your car's in service, but like you don't have any other car. It's like, I don't know if they're gonna like revert some of those changes for the early adopters of new vehicle programs like the Cybertruck. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. The Jose. Any word on how Tesla will solve seeing any objects a couple feet in front of the front bumper, which the camera cannot see, with the removal of the ultrasonic sensors? Good question.
Yeah. Uh, Camera cannot see a couple of feet in front of the front bumper. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess that's right. Yeah. Uh, yep. I mean, I don't know that. I can no answer for that one. It's
Whoops.
ultrasonic sensor things. Like I see all the Tesla fan blogs. They're like, "Oh, Tesla is saving hundreds of millions of dollars by removing the ultrasonic sensors. Hundreds of dollars per car." Like, okay, is that a good thing? Like, it's just.
Yeah, it's
But
weird when people are fans of cars getting worse.
yeah, and because that's the problem with the Tesla fans right now. They still have this mentality of like Tesla being the small like underdog company. It's not like a $700 billion company and the market leader in electric vehicles. It's like we need to start treating him like the big company and the money making machine that it is, and stop being so lenient on that front. I think like it's they did a cost cutting effort with that, and they're trying to sell it as like our vision technology is so good that we don't need those sensors. But it is a cutting effort. There's no way
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah, and also like safety for like little kids running in front of cars.
Mhm.
That's not good. All right. Peter, will current Tesla vehicles qualify for the 2023 EV tax incentive? We touched on that a little bit, or do they need
Yeah.
to change battery chemistry and prices?
Not price. Oh, I mean, talking for Model 3 and Y here, Model S and X won't be eligible, and that's perfectly fine because they are flagship, super expensive supercars, basically. Um, but like we said, for the Model 3, our understanding right now is that Tesla is using for the base version, which is the one that is eligible to the tax credit in terms of pricing. I don't think it is. I don't think it meets the criteria on the battery side of things. So no. Tesla might adjust pricing on the higher end version that use nickel based chemistry, and that could possibly give you access for like a long range Model 3 a little bit cheaper, maybe with some furlock features. We don't know. So there might be something that could happen there. On the Model Y front, it looks like that is the vehicle that has the highest chance of being fully eligible for the EV tax credit. So good news on that front.
Yeah, I think all that's going to shake out pretty soon. Like the
Yeah.
automakers are going to have to say, hey, one way or the other.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Greg Poland question. I have my wife driving a Fiat E500 right now. Uh, okay. She says the Model Y is too expensive. Should I just go ahead and get her a Model Y in 2023?
Well,
I would
that's the question for us. Should I go against my wife's wishes and buy her an expensive vehicle?
get
Like,
her a Bolt, dude.
yeah, I mean, the Bolt would be like a bigger, well, not the bigger, I mean, would be already like a big improvement on the Fiat yeah, I would think. But again, you wouldn't like in terms of long distance travel. You wouldn't. I assume that you have already another vehicle, so maybe the this your wife's car can still be just like a city car, like the Fiat or the Bolt EV. So
Yeah. All right, Bernardo B. The supercharger network is what makes me only buy Tesla's EVs right now. Sorry, not going to rely on EA. Yeah, I
mm,
get that, and EA and EVgo and the rest have not been as reliable. And a lot of it has to do with the like what EA has to do. So they have to figure out how to charge like 70 different cars, from like 20 different
mm,
automakers. Like everyone's slightly different. They all have to do, they have to have a screen, and they have to have like a credit
mm,
card reader, and they have to have RFID and an internet connect. I mean, Teslas need to have an internet connection too. But I mean, a Tesla is like you plug it in, it does a little handshake
mm,
and you start charging. There's no screens, there's no like credit card readers, there's no like stuff like that. So like it's hard. Like it's hard to, have EA stations. That said, like it's really like I'm doing a drive on just EA chargers, and I'm like I have serious range anxiety right now. Like I'm going to be stuck in the middle of Pennsylvania with either really slow or no charging, and I'm going to be just stuck overnight, and I'm going to miss a
yeah.
baseball game in Cleveland tomorrow.
Yeah, because at least the Ford is very good at range prediction. So like
Hmm.
when it's not even range anxiety at this point. It's charging anxiety.
Yeah,
You're anxious that the charger because you're gonna get to the charger.
for sure.
You're gonna get there. Ford trip prediction is very good. So you're gonna get there, but then it's like, all right, if it doesn't work or if it works poorly, then yeah, that would give you a bad experience.
And Ford has plug and charge,
Mm,
which works with EA. So I don't even have to worry about credit cards or the app or anything. I just plug it in, and it does a little handshake, and we're off to the races. But still a little stressed. Like we've gone lots of times to EA chargers, and like 1 out of 4 will work, or one will work really slow. So it's still a little sketchy, a little scary. All right. What's the order time on a brand new Bolt? You can get one today at a dealer near you for probably 10 to 20,000 over MSRP. If you want one at MSRP, you have to go to a dealer who's not horrible and talk to them nicely, and maybe you'll get one in a few months. That's been my experience here in New York. I've heard similar elsewhere. I think, if you're willing to wait, you can get MSRP. If you want one right away, you're going to pay a little bit over. All right. Hey, Seth, if you want to get a Bolt EV, maybe you should want to park it away from the house for a while just in case. That's funny. All right. Tesla Cybertruck is vaporware.
that depends on the definition of vaporware. Man.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it doesn't exist, but
Yeah,
it
but
looks
it's
like
happening. It's not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Big meh on the Polestar. There's zero wow factor to justify the price. I disagree. I think it's a good looking vehicle. I just don't think it's that good of a looking vehicle.
Look at the prices of big SUVs these days. They are expensive. Like,
That's
but
true.
if there's no third row, though, that would be disappointing. Like, if you have a third row option, then that would
Is it?
make a big
I
difference.
forget how fast. Is it crazy fast, or is it just like normal EV, like
It's a
4 second?
4.9 seconds, I think.
Yeah, it's not too fast.
Yeah, it's fast for an
It's
SUV.
fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like it'll
Mm.
be super happy. People are super happy with it. But all right, Silverado. The Tesla Cybertruck is going to be more than 70,000, so it's going to lose the tax credit. So the Silverado is a definite choice. Yeah, the Silverado is actually they're still saying $40,000, and not. They're also saying there's going to be a 400-mile version, but I don't think the
Mm.
$40,000 is going to be $400.
No. Yeah, I think we should be careful though on that front. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some price adjustments there.
For sure.
Yeah, and the
Um,
Cybertruck, I would be surprised if it starts at $70,000. I
yeah.
would think starting closer to like 55 or something like that. And isn't the tax credit like $80,000 for a pickup truck?
Yeah,
I don't
for
think.
SUVs and pickup trucks, it's
Yeah.
80. But I feel like the first Cybertrucks that come out are going to be the high end ones,
Yeah. That's
the
fair.
Plaid or whatever. All right. Nando Holtz has a funny one. Milton's life is coasting downhill.
Yeah.
because of the yeah. Anyway,
I need to look into it. I just saw that he was found guilty, but what really needs to happen? They
get
need
the money
to,
back.
yeah, get that money back. That guy made hundreds of millions of dollars off of his lies. Like that's the main thing. If he gets to, all right, he goes to prison for like 5 6 years or whatever, and then he comes out and he's still super rich. Like he's like 35 years old. He's that his goal is he's probably like, all right, that's what I wanted out of this situation.
All right, what is the range of the Polestar 3 in terms of EPA estimates? I think we said 300 miles, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here we go. This is classic. Tesla will use the occupancy neural network to see in front of the bumper. The vehicle will see the space before it goes there and store the information just the same way they do for oculated vehicle.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But then knowing Tesla, I'm like, all right, let's say that you park the car, you shut it down and everything, you leave, like you park it in your garage or whatever, and then you come back. Does the car like remember as it was driving up and he remembers in front of your car now? Like
Or
it
it should,
should, but
but
knowing
also
Tesla,
also like that doesn't account for like a dog running in front of your car that it can't
yeah,
see,
yeah, no,
or a
that's true.
kid.
Yeah,
So maybe Tesla will retrofit older car with a camera in the front grille, and then to add cameras to new vehicles. All right, we're just
yeah, Tesla
reaching for straw.
adding things to the vehicles. That's really new.
I want back an automaker that makes EVs but won't make their own charging stations. All right, who are we talking about here? Why should I buy their vehicle if they can't invest and believe in their own vehicle?
I completely understand what you're saying, Ken, and historically you've been right. Like Tesla doing that has had like it's a big part of their success. However, when you look on the other side of things, like it also makes sense to like not have your own charging network and have like a global like charging, universal charging for everyone. Just like gas stations are. Gas stations are not for a specific brand of vehicle. So it it would make sense. The logic is sound for the future market. It sounds from automaker, but they are taking a hit right now because the charging infrastructure is so far behind, other than Tesla, that it is making it a harder decision to go with those vehicles for sure. But long term, you would think that it would the issue would fix itself. Well, not itself, but like the charging network operators would fix it. So yeah, there's definitely two sides of this story.
Yeah, and you would think some competition would, kind of force prices down a little bit, or maybe
Hmm.
like, if there's charging stations across the street from each other, there's like gas stations,
Yeah.
like price wars or whatever. Hopefully that happens soon.
Mm.
And I think that is the end of the Q&A.
Well, thank you everyone for your question. A lot of great questions this week. A lot of interesting topics. If you do enjoy the Electrek Podcast, please make sure to give us a like and a subscribe, and you can hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. That will let you know when we're coming live. Even though we're pretty good about being there every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. If you're listening on a podcast app, if you can give us a 5-star review, that's free to do. It takes a second, and it helps the show tremendously more than you would know. That's it for us this week.